Hey guys, Island Turtle here. Welcome to BOMISpirit. So today we are doing the weekly messages for May 12th to May 18th, and happy full moon Scorpio. It's always kind of fun when these land on one of these kinds of days. Well, on a full moon day or a new moon day. But today in particular feels really good, actually. And I'm curious if you guys are feeling just as good as well. And if you're not, I hope you feel it soon. There's some really interesting stuff to talk about today, including we're going to start touching on some Saturn Aries talks too, which I think is going to be interesting. But yeah, now and next week, we are transitioning to more of that like fiery energy, as if we didn't already feel enough fiery energy as it is. But yeah, this is good. This is a good week. It's a good week. I expect like everyone to have some sort of like interesting fated-esque story or experience. But anyway, I'm just really in good vibes. If you're new, sorry, forgot the whole thing. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. I appreciate it. People who find my videos also appreciate it because they find them because you do that stuff, right? Also, I want to say if you're new and you're not really used to my content, normally for the weeklies, I go over the just generally what I'm feeling for the week. And as an astrologer, as an intuitive, a seer, etc., channeler, etc., all the things. Then we'll actually get into the astrology, and then we will also do some channeled messages and cards for the signs. We're definitely doing signs today. And if you're catching this after the fact, it should be time stamped as well. Yeah, and I think that's it as far as like the need to knows and what have you. So I'm also activation warning. I just want to say that I mean, I feel really good, but like, it's just funny how energy works, right? Right before I was like, okay, I'm gonna like get my little altar ready and all these things, I felt that influx of energy and I was like, oh, okay, that feels like an activation. So yeah, just putting that out there for you guys to you know, brace yourself for any like activations that may happen during this live, even if you're catching this after the fact, okay? But yeah, I want to like we're gonna go slow today. I want to catch up on the comments here for a little bit before we get started. You're doing yoga here while you're listening. That's kind of cool. My first time seeing you live. Hi, Nikki. Blessings to you too. Full moon Scorpio, my fourth house, and I bought my first home today. Oh, congratulations! Oh my God, what a big deal! Oh, I'm so happy for you because, like, I know that you've been a supporter for years. So I'm just super excited for you. That's awesome. Uh, let's see. Happy Moon Day. Yes, and Moon Day, right? And Moon Day. Could not sleep last night. Had a dream these girls tried to fight me, then changed their minds when I wouldn't back down. It's like God, it's already getting me. It's like reading that just like brought up all the stuff to just start talking about. Actually, you know what? There is a little chat that I do want to have today, and then we'll get into the overview. And that feels like a good segue into that. So, also as I was getting ready to come alive, don't mind me, and the activation pauses like uh to go live today with you. Um the turning of the wheel is what they brought up, like with the Wheel of Fortune card in that same vein, which I think is very fitting because when I was going over the notes, I noticed Jupiter is going to be square the north node. Lord have mercy. God, we're already starting with the stuttering. I noticed that Jupiter is going square the north node, and when I tuned into that, it felt like a magnetic, like pulling of divine cosmic forces is really what it felt like. I mean, Jupiter does touch on fate, as does the north node. So I do think there are going to be definitely some fated events that take place, and I want to say the next couple of weeks, just because of the nature of how slow Jupiter and North Node tend to move. Um, and so, on that same vein, coming more to the present with this full moon Scorpio and also just the energy of the week, I feel like that's what they were hinting at is like the winds of the oh my God, I can't speak. I'm so sorry. The turning of this wheel where a lot of us may be sensing that like very prominently right now, and I think that's part of some of the calm that I think I'm even feeling today is like, yes, we've had a lot of change going on. That's been happen. Hold on a second. I didn't think that'd be possible. So I have my candle lit. I put it in I always keep it in this spot. For whatever reason, doesn't seem like that should be possible. It started melting a part of my monitor. Um, because I was like, "What's that smell?" And I looked down and it's like a little corner of my monitor is like, "Well," I was like, "No, there's no way." And so sorry, distraction. Major distraction. All right, you are no longer going to be there. I'm going to put you over here. Weird. That to me doesn't even seem physically possible. I'm sorry, guys. Squirrel, let's come back. Um, but I think that's also something that we are sensing. And yes, we've had a lot of change. Change is like the constant in life, okay? But this feels a little different. This feels different. This doesn't feel like the standard, like, oh, we ebb and we flow and, things shift and what have you. This feels, I mean, this does feel more like fate. I don't know another way to put it. Um, this does feel a little bit more like destiny intervening kind of energy, but there's a strange calm about it. And so it's just kind of intriguing, especially on a day like today where a full moon on moon day in a sign that has to do with like realms and psychic energy. The veil is also very thin right now in terms of what we're sensing and what we're feeling. And so I just kind of wanted to put that out there into your awareness. The other thing too, like when I read that comment, this idea or concept of power, right? I just heard ego as well. These are things that are always at play in life, but we do have some energies that are that have been bringing that to the forefront here. And I feel like also with the turning of the wheel, so to speak, of this like wheel of fortune energy and like destiny intervening, I'm feeling a few things there. It's like I am feeling definitely things being magnetized to us or brought into us without any effort, really. um so many things just came in. Well, let me slow down. So many things just came in, but at the same time, I also feel like there's a turning of the table. Thank you. As well in some of our relationships. Actually, relationships and connections will also be very prominent this week because of a few things, and we'll get into why that is. Even Jupiter square the North Node, the fact that Jupiter's in Gemini, that is also prominently like affecting friendships and connections with other people, communication especially. We'll get into it. But Venus is also trine Mars. Again, we'll get into it. But it feels like there's this turning of the wheel. Some of us may experience that, like the table's also turning in relationships as well. And I want to say in terms of like power or how we perceive power, there's so much more to it than that, but it's like that is coming up a little bit as a theme for some of you. So don't be shocked if like if you've been in kind of a strain, if okay, so like if you've been in an ebb, we'll say that. If you've been at like the bottom of the wheel, so to speak, and things have been crunchy and not super yummy and like kind of difficult to navigate, or like your relationships have been funky, or there's been like weird ego power shit in your relationships, as the wheel turns, I mean, it may literally be like a 180 kind of a turn for some of you. And that's just for some of you. This is just something to be brought up, to be spoken on for a collective amongst the collective. And I think some of you just need that confirmation if you're like sensing that, or if you're also feeling like you've kind of had enough about a certain experience you're having in relationships. It is changing. A lot of things are about to flip, is almost what it feels like. And it doesn't feel, well, I feel calm right now. So I'm like, I was about to say, like, it doesn't feel chaotic. They're saying that's not a guarantee. That's not a guarantee. Yeah, I think this calm is just sitting in this moment and like feeling the wheel about to turn. And I want to say the wheel of destiny, not necessarily just change, but like the wheel of destiny. So I'm just very intrigued by that. Um, but yeah, also with power, we've talked a lot about power on this channel, and I think a lot of us have. I'm still sorry, I can still smell like my monitor's like that burnt plasticky stuff. Anyway, it just caught the outer edge, so it's not like, so it just melted some of the plastic. I'm sorry. Let's come back. It's totally distracting me. But with power, we've talked a lot about power on this channel, and like a lot of us have come to understand at this point, most of us, I would say, at this point, that power is not anything that we need to prove or display or force. Power is something that you embody and you emulate and you radiate out. And power also comes from your relationship and connection to yourself and your own confidence, right? And your awareness as well. Awareness is a huge part of power, because if you're not aware, there's an ignorance that's there. And if you are ignorant in some way of yourself or your surroundings, that actually puts you in a disadvantage to understand the context of everything that's at play for you and how to utilize what's going on in your life, including just again your relationship to self. So I don't know why that wanted to be spoken on, but it did. It did. I mean, Scorpio is like a power sign, but there's something about that too, in terms of like your own relationship to your own sense of power may have been going through a major shift and may continue to as well. I'm more curious about this wheel of destiny turning, but I digress. Let's go ahead and get into the overview here. Okay. I've had this monitor a really long time too. I know I'm like a little fixated on the monitor. I'm just like, it just really caught me off guard. Um, I've had this monitor for like, where are we? 2025? Almost the other day I thought I was in 2027, by the way. I was like, I don't know, I don't remember where I was, but I literally thought I was in 2027. I was like, don't know where I went for that moment. Anyway, um, yeah, we're in 2025. I've had this monitor for like 12 years. That's crazy. Anyway, so not important. Overview. Let's get into the overview here. All right. So just also for those using the timestamp, the overview is for people who like don't really want like the full blown detailed astrology and just want like the little snippets, so to speak, before getting into the channel messages. So this week, I also just want to start off with some interesting dates. So today we do have the full moon Scorpio. Ceres is also moving into Aries. Along with that, there's going to be an interesting shift from this Pisces stellium we've been working with for, I want to say like over a month now, maybe even 2 months, to more of an Aries stellium. That's going to be interesting. But at the same time, this week, on the end of the week, on the 18th, Jupiter and Gemini will be exactly sextile Chiron and Aries and exactly square the North Node. So this like turning of the wheel energy is peaking on the 18th. So just something to keep in mind. You know, we're leading up into it, but it's like it's still very prominent at the end of the week. And also at that same time, I want to pay a little attention to Saturn. So by the end of the week, Saturn's going to be at Pisces 29 degrees. That like, oh, I just remembered a fixed star that's there too. Interesting. Um, anyway, we'll come back to that. At the end of the week, Saturn is moving into that last degree of Pisces. It doesn't move into Aries until the 24th of May, which is the following week. But then it retrogrades in Aries at 1 degree, July 13th. We're going to have Saturn Aries energy for the entirety of summer. I've spoken on this before in spurts, but I just want to bring your attention to it now because we are being ushered into that energy. And so just know that for the entirety of summer, Saturn being in that like 0, 1 degree point of Aries is going to be a little bit of a preview, a little bit of a taste of what it's going to be like when Saturn gets comfortable in Aries. And Saturn won't return back into Aries until February of next year, if I'm not mistaken. So Saturn will be in Aries from May 24th all the way up to September 1st is when it retrogrades back into Pisces. And it's going to be sitting there for quite some time for the rest of the year. And then, of course, like I said, the following year in 2026, it'll move back into Aries and they'll start getting really comfortable. And also, you know, some of you are going through your Saturn returns just because I know my demographic, right? And people who've had sessions with me, it's just so interesting, right? It's like a lot of times when people book an astrology session, I would say like half the time there is like an approach or like to their Saturn return or they're like in the middle of it. So I just know that like there's a good chunk of you here who are going through your Saturn return or about to. So just kind of bringing that to your attention as well. And the way that Saturn is also working in moving into this meant to be an overview and it's so not, I'm sorry. The way that Saturn is like moving into Aries in this way, it's actually alleviating some pressure a little bit for some people. It's chart dependent, obviously, but Saturn's also moving off the North Node, which I actually think is going to be really nice as Jupiter starts getting really strong and it's squared in the North Node. It does feel like yeah, like some sort of pressure is being lifted off of the North Node while Jupiter's like, oh, let's bring some stuff in. So that's just kind of intriguing. Anyway, again, this meant to be an overview, but let's get to the actual overview of this. So as far as what to expect this week, we still have a lot of continued energy that we've been in for quite some time, right? We still have this minor grand trine of remembrance going on. So we still have this energy of recall, retrieval, remembering, right? What makes us happy, who we really are, our innate skills. And some of these things could also be things that are unlocked in more of like a metaphysical kind of a level or experience, right? Whether that's like ascension or past life remembrance, weird dreams and things of that nature. But that is still very much there. Remembrance is also an energy that's about bringing us home. And all that really means is, anchoring us back into this connection and awareness of self and spirit creator, right? All things. So that's been there. It's still here, and it will continue to get stronger actually throughout summer. And at some point, Saturn's going to join in on this minor grand trine of remembrance, and relatively soon. And that's kind of interesting. I don't know. I'm just think it's getting me a little excited because it's going to go into a conjunction with Neptune. But anyway, so just kind of like putting that out there. But we still have that. We also still have this like full moon Scorpio energy that's helping us with slaying our demons, slaying our fears, insecurities, illusions, our peps, right? If you were tuning in recently, and allowing us to liberate our own greatness and embody our own greatness. That also comes with our own unique vision. That also comes with our own unique medicine and wisdom that is also based off of our own life experience, right? So all beautiful things. Also, just a couple other key points I want to mention to just stay aware of this week. I know Mercury is a big one, but there's something else I want to be spoken on first. No, I guess that's a part of Mercury too. So, Mercury's not exactly the most well aspected this week. Okay. It's going from one square to another, basically, as it's moving through Taurus. And so just, keep in mind that at the beginning of the week, there may be some very strong urges of expression that may want to take place. And this is going to be different for everybody. Maybe you've moved through this. Maybe you're about to move through this. Okay. But in the beginning of the week, expressing the suppressed, expressing the repressed is still a theme. And this may, come out in not so pretty smooth ways. This may come out even in the way of like arguments and conflicts or trying to persuade people, to understand you, to get you, to see what you're seeing. People could be doing this to you. And so just know that like that could rub people the wrong way, but I'm not saying don't express yourself. You're meant to express yourself. It's just about finding your sea legs with expressing yourself, especially as we are liberating this greatness, right? But as we progress down the week, Mercury starts to square Mars. It's like, that's not that much better. That's like that's the epitome of conflict. That's the epitome of arguments, right? Mercury square Mars. So again, needless to say, when you are dealing with people, especially with some of these like fated events of the turning of the wheel, there's definitely going to be people that pop up in your life. There's going to be opportunities that pop up in your life. And some of us, they will be blessings. You will literally be like, oh, that's my blessing. So it was that experience. Now, because there's so much energy that's like social and communicative, CJ, thank you for the 1999. Oh, mahalo, sister. Thank you. Love you. A little aloha, a little Hawaii love going on there. Anyway, sorry, let me come back. What was I saying? that totally distracted me. With the turning of the wheel, that's what it was. With the turning of the wheel, as like some of these opportunities and people and blessings do come into our life, again, it feels very, very like destined fated is really like the vibe I'm getting, just like magnets, right? There is a lot of energy around communication, and Gemini is a huge part of this too. But because Mercury is also doing what it's doing, just be open and receptive to what people have to say. You don't have to agree with people. You don't even have to like give too much of yourself right now to people if you don't want to, right? But with what's coming in right now, also coinciding with this full moon Scorpio energy of like slay your bullshit, slay your apeps, and unlock your light, unlock your greatness. There may be some tendency to be argumentative or to have conflicts or like I think this way but this person thinks another way, and it's like difference of opinion, but you can still learn a lot from each other, right? There's also some Aquarian energy that's tied up in this that we'll talk about too. Like Palace and Cheroklo is doing a lot right now, as you guys already know because we talked about that last week. But let's come back. So just be open and receptive. It could work out in your favor. You could learn a lot about yourself. You could learn a lot about other people. And this could actually expand upon any blessings that may be trying to come into your life or that you may be experiencing or that you currently have. But if you get a little rigid or you get kind of triggered or you let some of these peps, right? Illusions, fears, insecurities, ego, power tripping, all this stuff we kind of touched on earlier, and you allow that stuff to kind of like hold you back and become kind of closed off, that's when we can kind of like miss out a little bit or restrict ourselves unnecessarily or create unnecessary conflict or fights. So just some things to like, to keep in your awareness there. Just be open, be receptive, enjoy, embrace, receive this week. Okay. Is there anything else I want to mention here? I don't think so. I will say lastly, before we get into the astrology, as if you haven't had enough astrology already, Pisces moving into Aries, this Pisces stellium transforming into this Aries, transforming into this Aries stellium. I'm just excited. Hold on. Sky Key Moonbeam, thank you so much. Thank you for the heads up. You're welcome. You're so welcome. Um, where was I? Oh yeah. Moving from Pisces stellium to Aries stellium. When you start to feel more of that fire, when you start to feel more of that like inspired energy, fun energy, excited energy, intrigued, playful, sexual. There's a lot of sexual energy this week too. Let it stir. That's what was coming through. Like, let it stir. Next week, I feel like there's going to be a lot more like acting on it and utilizing it. And also a lot more just general enjoyment with other people, like enjoyment with companionship is going to be a big theme as well. It's actually tied into Mars trine Venus, which we have this week, but that's peaking next week. Just like Saturn is moving into Aries next week, right? Well, is it? Hold on a second. No, yeah, we got lost in where we are on the timeline. For I don't know why for a second I put myself in last week time. I literally thought the end of the week was the 12th for a second. Oh, time is too much, man. Anyway, yes. So by next week, Saturn will be in Aries. Mars will be exactly trine Venus with like that Aries Leo energy. And we're going to have a lot of alleviation from Saturn off of the North Node while Jupiter is kind of like helping the North Node bring some things in. We also have this dissolving of some intense T squares that we've been in, especially around Uranus. So that tension's going to start breaking up. So next week, that's the time. Like, get your plans now. That's what I'm saying. For this week, get your plans in order for next week to go and have fun. Okay? To go have fun, go enjoy, go socialize, go try something, go and let the fire stir, essentially. I don't recommend doing it now. I recommend making plans for next week. Okay. And this woman should also help make some of those things clear as well. But that's the overview. The astrology portion is going to feel very similar to the overview, most likely. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the actual astrology here. Let's see, let's catch up on some comments here. Let's see, Aries moon, I'm used to this. Saturn and Pisces people were in the everybody has survived the Scorpio full moon. Did everyone else? I think this full moon's been really good, honestly. I don't know. I'm a Scorpio, so I don't know. I like the last couple days have been really okay. So a little story time, and then we'll get to the astrology. The last couple days, I've definitely been moving into a very calm, peaceful state, and it's felt really nice. Prior to that, things were really crunchy. Things were really, really crunchy. Oh, words. They were really crunchy. And I do think there's like, I'm already trying to get into astrology to even explain what I was dealing with like the last like week or two. But I think it's just been part of like, leading up to this full moon Scorpio out of the new moon Taurus, along with some of these other transits we've had, especially going from like the Pisces stellium and leading into the Aries stellium, doing some cleanup, right? Doing some major cleanup. And I think a lot of us have been feeling that. And I think that's why I was feeling like a little crunchy. Maybe why some of y'all were feeling a little crunchy, not country, crunchy. The thing that I realized about Saturn being in that last degree of Pisces a few minutes ago, I'm trying to save it for the astrology portion, but I'm like dying to just say it now. On that note, I guess I'll just do the timestamp for the astrology here. There's a fixed star called Sheet that sits at Pisces 29 degrees. And that will be working with Saturn by the end of the week. And for the entirety of it, also moving into Aries. What's interesting about this fixed star is like there's actually like, and when you look in the literature for this particular fixed star, there is a lot of like conflicting opinions about this star, but something that is like a consensus about this star outside of the fact that it's associated with like natural disaster by water. That's like a thing, like storms, tidal waves, tsunamis, drowning, ship sinking, things like that. Things I don't think most of us need to worry about. But because this star sits at the very last degree of the entire zodiac, right? Pisces 29, and then we go to Aries 0, that it does highlight, it does bring into focus um, cycles and journeys and lessons, right? And even like, how have you how have you viewed, perceived, experienced, embodied, learned, reflected on your life or on all of your experiences, whether it is just like certain cycles of your life, lessons of your life, or the entirety of your life in general? Have you grown? Have you learned? Have you dismissed? Have you played dumb? Have you just like stayed stuck, stayed stagnant? Have you mastered? Or have you just like stayed in ego? That's also what this star speaks on. And so when I realized that, I was like, oh my God, even more just like, you know, these energies of the turning of the wheel and the turning of cycles and the end to the beginning. It's like so much of that energy this week. And especially with Saturn being there. I mean, we know Saturn. Saturn is karmic energy. Saturn is discipline. Saturn is how we learn and how we grow. And it's malefic, yes, but it's like it's malefic in a way where it brings challenge to force you to rise to the occasion, to learn and to grow. So I feel like as this wheel is turning, right? This like wheel of destiny is turning. Wheel of destiny is also just the wheel of karma too, right? We also have Saturn, a karmic, massive karmic planet at this last degree of the zodiac, kind of highlighting to us like, hey, now that you're here, let's like measure you up a little bit, is almost how that feels. And this also might be why some of us may experience like a little bit of the turning of tables within certain situations, or especially like, within certain relationships, just because relationships are so big right now. um of how have you measured up when it comes to your lessons, when it comes to your growth, when it comes to how authentic or integral you've stayed. Have you stayed in ego? Have you done wrong by others? Have you done wrong by you? You know, all these things. So there may be some karmic, I don't want to say payouts, but kind of. There may be some karmic payouts going on too for some people. So it's going to be very interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to see over the next 2 weeks, just like what we may observe even externally in like the global stage, if you will, with these energies, but also like with people in our individual lives and of course ourselves. But yeah, the turning of the wheel is very much here, as is some judgment energy too. So that being said, the first thing I want to talk about with the astrology, outside of Saturn, obviously, I talked about it briefly, but Venus in Aries is trine Mars in Leo this week, and that will peak next week on the 22nd of May, if you want that date in particular. Mars is also doing some stuff from the beginning of the week to the end of the week. So, as far as like, before I tell you what this whole little section is about, if you want to look at your chart to see where some of these things may transpire, I would actually look to the house of Leo if you want to make it simple. Okay. I would look to the house of Leo. Yeah, 10 to 15 degrees. 10 to 15 degrees Leo. And if you have any personal planets there, that they may play a role in some of these themes as well, or maybe affected by some of these things as well. So what you can expect with this trine, along with Mars doing its shifting. So Mars in the beginning of the week is going from a square with Vesta in Scorpio to a square with Mercury in Taurus. Again, not ideal. Not ideal. Not too fussy, but just not ideal. So while Mars is dancing really nice with Venus, and this is going to be more about like relationships, I think are going to have more benefit versus like what Mars is doing on the side with Vesta and Mercury. The Vesta and Mercury to me feel very like individual, internal, isolated kind of experiences, except for the way we are communicating with people. So just watch that on the Mercury end. But the trine with Venus and Mars, it's like it's one of like the greatest aspects to have when they're dancing well together. It's great for socializing, dating, enjoyment, creating, enjoying companionship in particular, friendship in particular, the pleasures of life really, and not even in like a crazy way, just like the little things, like getting your favorite cup of coffee at your favorite coffee place and sitting and having a chat with a friend, or like going out dancing for the night and then like meeting someone and going on a date 2 days later. You know what I mean? It's like it's that kind of energy. It's enjoyment, it's play, it's pleasure, it's creativity, it's romantic, it's sensual, it's fun. It's fun and it's easy. You may also feel a little bit more charismatic and a little bit more attractive and confident with this energy too. But just keep in mind while we have it this week, it's much stronger next week. So again, if you're gonna make a date or anything, make it for next week and try to make it for the 22nd if you can. Now, Mars, what it's doing on the side in the beginning of the week with that square to Vesta, there may just be a little bit of impatience or frustration with feeling like you can't exactly do all the things you actually really want to do. Like you may feel a little torn between like responsibilities and play, and then also like your own personal callings and purpose. You may feel a little split in that way where it's like, I just want to do it all, but you got to prioritize time. Again, minor, it's not anything super major there. And then by the end of the week, as it starts to square off Mercury, that's the be mindful of unnecessary conflict and arguments, and be open to constructive criticism. That was something that was coming in big as a channeling. Be open to constructive criticism and what people may have to say about you. Again, you don't have to agree with them, but maybe they are going to highlight something to you that you haven't seen before, right? Yeah, don't take things too personally this week. Especially you got Taurus and Scorpio, right? Like, don't take things too personally this week. So that's what I have to say about that. So again, if you want to see where most of this may be affecting you, I would look to your house of Leo. 10 to 15 degrees is where I would look. You can look at Aries too. I think that's worth looking at. There's a lot going on in Aries, and I'll say to this too as we progress. Aries, Aquarius, and Pisces, they're all neighbors. All three of those houses are neighbors. Those signs are neighbors. There's a lot going on in all those houses. And because they're all neighbors, they kind of all touch or like expand over, you know, a decent broad aspect of life. So I would look at those three houses, and if you want to like just look there, you're going to get a good gist as to like, oh, this is where a lot of things may be stirring or where a lot of my focus may be, right? So for some of you that could be like the fourth house, the fifth house, and the sixth house. That's home and domestic life. That's your close social relationships, like family and also close friends or people that you're dating, people you work with, right? Like your closer circle, like inner circle, and then like the second outer, not acquaintances or anything like that. Like people who like you have to see regularly or speak to regularly. This is also going to be your daily routines and like how you deal with your home life, how you deal with taking care of your health, how you deal with running errands and then also maintaining friendships, right? So it's like, that's what I mean by like broad, right? Just to give an example. So next thing I want to briefly touch on, we've talked about this quite a bit, so I don't want to spend too much time here. But the minor grand trine of remembrance, which I did mention in the overview, involves Neptune in Aries, Pluto in Aquarius, and Sedna in Gemini. If you're not familiar with Sedna, we've talked a lot about it on this channel very briefly. Sedna, for me, as a just I'm just saying for me, I don't need to put all my things on my labels or titles there of who I am. Sedna is a primordial creatrix energy is how I view and connect and feel Sedna. She's kind of like the dark primordial pool from which all things come and have come. She kind of represents origins to me in a lot of ways, and like even origin stories. But that Gemini factor, also the fact that that's also working with Alcyone, a fixed star in the Pleiades cluster in the Taurus constellation. There is this revealing of hidden things, and I want to say forgotten things, forgotten truths, facts, education, knowledge, wisdom, and also connections as well. And so relationships have also been a good aid to kind of activate some of this remembrance. And with Aquarius and Aries, with the Pluto Neptune dance that they're doing, that is very inventive, innovative, creative. Remembering the power of the individual amongst the collective and like the effect we can have on other people, but also the creation that we can create with other people or even for other people. Very advanced innovation energy is coming out of that. Now that's been there. We've had that. Now moving on from that, Mercury and Taurus at the beginning of the week is in a T square with Pluto and Lilith. Lilith being in Scorpio, Pluto being in Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius is the key planet in all of the aspects I'm talking about right now. So that's going to be the one you're going to want to focus on if you want to be like, where is all this affecting me, you know, in some way, shape, or form. But that Mercury in Taurus square Pluto and opposing Lilith, while Pluto is square Lilith, with that is the expressing the suppressed, especially with this full moon Scorpio energy that we have been going through. So if you've had any like suppressed or repressed anger, rage, upset, whatever, just anything that's been suppressed or repressed, essentially, there's going to be more of a impulse or desire to get that stuff out and to express yourself from that space, especially with wanting to be heard, wanting to be seen. And even with some of this remembrance energy, right? Because it's like there's so much recall and retrieval that's coming up within ourselves on all levels of being, really, that it wants acknowledgement, it wants to be utilized as well. And so as you're just communicating, and also as like you're making your plans, because it also affects plans too with Mercury being in Taurus, just remember that this is a time to like have more of a open back and forth harmonious dialogue with people. It's not about pushing your agenda, it's not about pushing your opinions, it's not about pushing, it's about engagement and sharing and receiving. It's not about force right now. Let things unfold naturally. Like if you're starting to get these ideas of like things that you're really excited to do or experience, and especially with other people, let it happen naturally. Don't force it, okay? Have it in mind, start your plans, mention it here and there. Don't force the issue. Let people see you in the right timing, right? And let people also agree with you in the right natural ways of alignment as well, if it's more about agreeance. And the last thing I want to mention about this cluster, Pluto and Aquarius square Lilith is happening the entirety of the week. That's an aspect that's been with us for a while and will probably continue to be with us for probably, I would even say probably until next week a little bit too. How Maya's also been there, and Vesta's going to join the party by the end of the week. So all that looks like is any obstacles, fears, illusions, insecurities, a pep like things, right? All of that stuff becomes transformative fuel, essentially, for your own independence, for pursuit and experience of your desires, ambitions, and even your own sense of personal freedom. So, with the slang of our APEPs, which again, if you don't know APEP, I've talked about this quite heavily. It's just your shit. It's just your own insecurities, fears, illusions, like your own inner demons, things of that nature, things that hold you back, things that, cloud the truth of all things, right? All of those things, this is a time where we can really face those things and transmute them, overcome them, slay them, if you will. But with the Pluto Lilith connection, it is also for the benefit of experiencing personal freedom, the benefit of having more independence, more autonomy, and also for the experiencing of the things that we truly desire and the things that we really want for ourselves, and even a sense of fulfillment. Okay. So again, just more of that slaying of pep energy. So for all of the stuff I just talked about here, I would look to Aquarius 0 to 10 degrees in your chart to see where that's impacting you. Or what themes may be tied to some of these things. Aries and Scorpio are worth looking at here too, just because of what Neptune is doing here, and also the fact that Saturn's going to join the minor grand trine of remembrance. But Pluto and Aquarius is touching everything here. But Scorpio is also very heavily intertwined with Pluto too. So I'd prioritize Aquarius, but for my more advanced astrology peeps, I look to Aries and Scorpio too, 0 to 10 degrees. Okay. Now, I saved the most complicated thing for last. We're not quite there, but we're getting close. I went from like most simplistic astrology to the most like complex astrology this time. Normally I do it the other way around, but I think I like this method better. All right. So I also last week was speaking about greatness, this liberating of our potential, our greatness, our sense of self, our truth, our magic, our medicine, our wisdom, all our unique vision, all that stuff. That is still here. Okay. So Jupiter is in Gemini still. It is going from 23 degrees to 25 degrees. We'll need to mention that. It's still sextile Chiron and Aries, while Chiron is also with Eris and Aries, and working with Pallas and Aquarius, with Chariklo and Aquarius. So you have a conjunction of Pallas and Chariklo and Aquarius, a conjunction of Chiron and Eris and Aries, and Jupiter and Gemini. All of them are in a minor grand trine together. And what this is doing is it's helping us to embrace and liberate and see and embody our personal greatness, the true sense of self, what we're really capable of, our highest potential, if you will. And it's through our soul scars. It's through that Chiron energy. And we've talked to death about Chiron and Cheroklo and how they are counterparts and how they work together, right? The wounded healer. Some people say wounded warrior, especially with it being an Aries recently for years now. But Cheroklo is also the medicine woman, right? So there is this like immense healing and insight that is happening and has been happening for us in terms of our sense of self and in terms of our own souls, our own essence, and our own sense of purpose and skills, and how we are uniquely designed, if you will, uniquely qualified to be the puzzle piece, the specific puzzle piece in a bigger picture. Whether that bigger picture is a family, a job, a relationship, the world, even if you want to like go that far existentially speaking. A lot of beautiful healing to be had here, and a lot of beautiful just witnessing and embodiment of self to experience there. Now, the fact that Jupiter is also square the North Node, I think makes this even sweeter. Again, the turning of the wheel. They said you're getting ahead of yourself. Okay, geez, sorry. Okay, let me come back. How was I getting ahead of myself? That felt complete. Hold on. There's something they want me to see. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I forgot about that. So, couple things. The beginning of the week, amongst all the celestial bodies I just spoke on, all this energy is here to enjoy for this week. Okay, no question. It is. It's here. But the way Jupiter's moving at the beginning of the week, the strongest part of this minor grand trine is Jupiter in Gemini trine Pallas in Aquarius with Cheroklo backing Pallas, right? That's more of the greatness. That is more of the unique vision. That is more of the, oh, this is what I'm uniquely designed and qualified for. This is how I fit. Oh, excuse me. This is how I fit. This is how I belong. Okay. So I mean, this may feel like a homecoming as well. That component of it is strongest now, like today. Will be for the next couple days. But they wanted me to make that distinction. And as we progress through the end of the week, by the 18th, that's when Jupiter will also be exactly sextile Chiron. So while there is like more of an emphasis on the, oh, this is like how I uniquely fit at the beginning of the week, at the end of the week, what's strongest with this minor grand trine is the Chiron component. To me, it actually feels like a release. I got to be honest. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, okay. There's some karmic rewards coming in. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's almost like as there's this recognition and acceptance of self in this way of this is how I belong, this is how I fit, this is who I am, right? For some people, everyone experiences these energies differently. By the end of the week, Jupiter being in a sextile to Chiron, Chiron unlocks things like not Chiron, excuse me, sextile. Sextiles unlock things. Sextiles open doors. Sextiles amplify the energy a little bit in a positive way, but it is to like trigger, catalyze, and unlock and open. It feels like there is like an unleashing is what I'm just feeling there. Like it feels like there's a release of Chiron, but in that positive way of like, oh, this no longer holds, like has a hold on me. This Chiron, this wound, this fear, this insecurity, this soul scar no longer has this like hold on me is what I'm feeling there. And on the same day, that's when Jupiter will be exactly square the North Node. That is when the wheel turns. It's already turning. It's always turning, technically. Technically, it's always that, moving and grooving. But this experience of, I just heard completion, but also this experience of going from like the bottom of the wheel to the top of the wheel of fated opportunities, people, experiences, whatever, blessings coming in or coming out, depending on what you got going on in your life. That is also strongest on that day. And it feels like there's some sort of karmic payouts and also karmic rewards to come around that time. And I will say just over the next 2 weeks, not just that day, but that's when it's peaking. So, for my mystics out there who have the bandwidth for it, I would make some special time on that day for yourself to just like really soak in those energies and do what you feel guided to do for yourself. Now, I will say too, with Jupiter square the North Node, something to be mindful of. It is a square. Now, even when Jupiter's in a square, it's still pretty positive, but there's just things you need to look out for. Normally, when Jupiter's in a square, you got to watch out for excess indulgence, overconfidence, over anything. Okay, too much of anything. Or even underestimating things, right? Normally that's like the rule of thumb with Jupiter, okay? What day? May 18th. Um, that normally that's the rule of thumb with Jupiter. But given that it's like, things are coming in, right? And it's all around this like Gemini Pisces energy, which by the way, if you are wondering like, oh, like where are these like opportunities or the turning of the wheel going to happen in my life? Could happen in any aspect of your life really, but a good indicator may be to look at Pisces or Gemini, like where those are in your charts, okay? But anyway, let's come back. Um, that communication part and like truth, communication, beliefs, and how we connect with others spiritually and intellectually. That's going to be a huge theme as well. And so that's also why, like, with what Mercury is also doing this week, and I talked about this in the overview already, to just be mindful to receive what's coming in, okay? Receive these people, receive these opportunities, receive any blessings, receive any payouts, receive. Just receive right now. And even if you're like, I don't know, I'm more like this and that kind of looks like this is a time to be open and receptive to change, to evolution. What comes in may not be what you expect, but it may actually be really positive for you in the long run in terms of your own evolution and your own personal growth and development. Jupiter also loves to help people grow, right? But in Gemini and Pisces, it's that battle of like spiritual, emotional truth, and then like logical, factual, no, this is right. And so, especially what Mercury is doing, there may be a tendency to like just literally through how you are communicating and what you believe that you may actually reject some of these things, or you may dismiss or fight some of these things, or you may feel triggered by some of these things. If you feel triggered by some of these things, that's a time to evaluate where you're at with a pep, with your own a pep energy. Okay. I will just say that. Because this can bring in some really cool things. Okay. So I think that's enough said about that. So for all this is going to be affecting our charts, I would say look at your houses and look at the 20-25 degree range. And I would prioritize, oh, nah, God, they're all important. They're all important for different reasons. Gemini and Pisces 20-25 degrees is like where the wheel is turning, how the wheel is turning and what it's changing in your life. Okay. But Aries and Aquarius though, because like Aries is like where some of the soul scars have been residing, or what particular soul scars have been like activated even in recent years in these ways, looked at in these ways. But Aquarius is where we're going to see the greatness of it. We're going to see the gift of it. So if that helps you to discern where you want to look in your houses, I'll say that again. Gemini 20-25 degrees and Pisces 20-25 degrees, that's where the wheel's turning. Okay. Aries 20-25 degrees is like what the actual soul scar has been for us individually, while Aquarius 20-25 degrees is the greatness liberated from that soul scar, the greatness that we're seeing. Okay. Okay. All right. Lastly, God, we're almost an hour in already. Lots of talking today. Lastly, oh yeah, this is a biggie. So I didn't get a chance to do a YouTube video for the full moon. I literally just haven't had the bandwidth, but I did talk very extensively already on Patreon about the full moon, which again is today, but we're still going to be in this energy for quite some time. And this is kind of what this next section circulates around, but there's some moving parts here. So with today in particular, but throughout the week, we have Scorpio, Aquarius, and Taurus dancing in a T-square. With the full moon, it absolutely includes the full moon energy. But if we're not like looking at the full moon, we're looking at the entirety of the week. We have the Sun conjunct Uranus in Taurus, square Pallas in Aquarius, and opposing Juno in Scorpio. Well, Juno is squaring Pallas, right? That's what a T-square is. You got two squares in opposition. Excuse me. This is some of that facing a pep energy. This is some of that like facing shit, facing your shit energy and being confronted with it. Slaying, I wrote slaying the bonds of illusion. Bonds being the key word here, thanks to Juno. Slaying the bonds of illusion, toxicity, the apep. There may be strong friction and confrontation with this. And if you do feel any friction or triggering or confrontation in anything that's going on this week, and I kind of mentioned it briefly in the last little cluster, that's an indication to check in with yourself of where you're at with your own APEP stuff, with your own fears, your own insecurities, your own ego, your own illusions, those sorts of deals. Okay. There may be strong drives to act on the greatness that's being liberated at this time, but remember to be open, to be receptive. We kind of touched on that already, not to be too forceful at this time. Because also when you have the sun working with Uranus square Pallas, especially in these fixed signs, I'm getting a little bit of entitlement. Not everyone's going to feel that, but some people might. There's this just strong impulse to be forceful in persuasion, in communication, in like, I see the truth and here is the truth, and like, hear me on my truth, especially with the sun being with Uranus like this. That's not going to work right now. That's not going to go over well right now, because it is a time of evolution. And yes, that's uncomfortable. And yes, it's a time where we are also expressing things that have like laid in a suppressed way. Yes, it's important to express, but it's also about connecting with other people. It is also about working well with others too, right? Because also with all this energy, and even just like literally in the big picture of things, it really is like a collective experience. And without connections with other people, it really is just an illusion, and we can really get lost and trapped in illusion. And then what kind of world are we living in anyway, right? Anyway, we don't need to be all existential about this. And continue to allow natural unfoldment as it relates to other people. But yeah, this T square, hold yourself accountable to your own shit. Slay your peps as best you can. Allow yourself to liberate your own greatness and see who you really are, and how you, like, where you belong, how you belong, to the best that you can, and allow that to happen naturally with other people. Okay. The other thing I want to mention too, the North Node in Pisces is also sextile Uranus and Juno. So some of these experiences, I think I mentioned it already. Remember, Jupiter is also still square the North Node. So some of these like turning of the wheel events, so to speak, may actually help us to slay a pep, may actually help us to see or liberate our own greatness, and even unlock some of that remembrance that we've talked about as well. So allow that to happen, allow that to take place. And again, if you're feeling friction, you're feeling rah about it, that's a pep. So go talk to your pep. Okay. What's the other thing I want to mention here? Yeah, Pisces to Aries. So we touched on it a little bit. Let's get a little deeper with this transition of the stellium. So the Pisces stellium has had a lot of different celestial bodies be part of it. I really want to say in recent months. I feel like we've had this for like 2 months. Where are we? You know what? I think we have. I think this started in March, if I'm not mistaken. Because I remember at one point Venus was part of this, Mercury was part of this, because they were doing the retrograde dance between Pisces and Aries. And so now this is the final week where we have this Pisces stellium, which, like, the Pisces stellium has been nice at times. Depends on how patient you are. It's been nice at times, but I'll be honest. I I'm kind of looking forward to a little bit of a change with it. It has been nice, but a change will be good. So, as of right now, as the Pisces stellium is now dying off, we have the North Node in Pisces with Ceres in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces. And by the end of the week, Saturn will be at that 29-degree point with the fixed star sheet, right? Are you really measuring up in terms of your experiences and what you've learned or what you've refused to learn? Ego versus mastery and evolution. All needs to be said. By the end of the week, Saturn is in this position with Pisces and sheet. Well, Ceres is in Aries at 0 degrees and Neptune is in Aries 1 degree. And again, Saturn goes into Aries on the 24th of May and will retrograde July 13th, but will touch Pisces again September 1st. So just again, that fire is starting to stir. And when Saturn actually does reach that like 1 degree point in Aries, which will probably happen in June, I want to say mid-June, that's when Saturn will join the minor grand trine of remembrance. And I want to feel into that for a second before I continue talking. I just want to feel into that. Like, what does that feel like? Oh, it's like making my belly hot. What does that feel like? Because when Saturn joins Neptune in this conjunction in Aries, we're not there yet. I'm going ahead a little bit. We'll have Saturn and Neptune working with Pluto and Aquarius. It's like I feel like what I'm feeling is excitement more than anything. Is going to be working with Pluto and Aquarius and Sedna in Gemini. It feels like utilizing it. It does. Almost feels like a dare. A bit of a dare or a push, a pressure. Saturn is pressure. A pressure to use the remembrance, a pressure to use the recognition of your greatness, because that's tied into all of this. It's all connected. To use it to create. That makes sense. Something else to note though about Saturn going into Aries. There's more to talk about here. Hold on. Hold on. Am I getting ahead of myself? I said yes. Okay. Fine. Let's come back to Pisces moving into Aries stellium, okay? So this stellium has also been working with Uranus and has been working with Juno. Again, Juno and Uranus have been tied to the things that bind us, the things that make us feel restricted and chained and illusioned and insecure and whatever. The toxic things, right? Toxic and also things that do nurture us, but it's like that discernment of like the healthy versus unhealthy, right? We've been in this for a long time. But the way the stellium has been working with this is like when it's been in Pisces, the reliance on self-care, the reliance on spiritual practices, the reliance on being in the present, the reliance on being open, being adaptable, letting go, being receptive, having faith, having trust, even having that tested at times, right? Um, doing what we should be doing to center ourselves and calm ourselves and stay detached from the chaos of life in the best ways that we can to navigate. That has been helpful for us. That has been actually keeping us on course. And if we haven't been doing that, we've been really feeling the chaos. Now that we're going from Pisces to Aries in the stellium, yeah, I'd like the fire is just stirring. Now the fire is stirring. But moving into Aries, it's no longer going to work with Juno. It's still working with Uranus. It is still working with Uranus. Let me feel into that too. And Uranus will move into Gemini briefly this year as well. Yeah, so we'll continue to. It will continue to. It will continue to. This Aries stellium will continue to work with in a sextile with Uranus. So I just feel like I'm seeing so many big pieces right now because I'm like, oh wait, the minor grand trine of remembrance. But then if Saturn and the stellium is going to keep working with Uranus, as Uranus approaches Gemini, Uranus is going to start working with Pluto and Neptune too. Anyway, sorry, getting ahead of myself. I feel like there's downloads trying to come in. That's why I'm taking some pauses for a second here. The sextile with Uranus, with this like letting the fire stir, I just feel like there's going to be so much pressure. Pressure is a weird word here because pressure, I think we associate with like, oh no, pressure. There can also be internalized pressure. There can also be a building of energy, a rising of energy. That's also pressure. And that's motivation. That's drive. That's impulse versus like pressure. It's like, ooh, pressure, you know? That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling more of an internalized pressure. And then I also wrote inspiration, confidence, initiative, fun, play, action will be part of this stellium now as support for us, that engaging with fire in this way and really again like inspired fun and play kind of ways will actually support us and help to keep us centered. Thank you. Some of us are going to have to also find our sea legs with this, is what they're saying. Because as we move into this like fiery energy, we also have these bigger players playing with this fire, which means it's going to be more long lasting versus like, oh, Mercury and Venus, right? We're talking about Saturn. We're talking about Neptune. We're talking about Uranus. We're talking about Pluto, right? So to also understand that the way that we normally calibrate ourselves or feel centered, we may need to find a new way of centering. Okay. Yeah, some people may feel so overwhelmed by fire they won't know what to do with it. So have your outlets. If you, so I would say, especially if like you're a water sign, have your outlets. Or if you're an earth sign, have your outlets. I want to say, hold on a second. Oh, but all good things there. All good things. It feels very active. It feels very engaging. it feels exciting. But yeah, as we move into these energies, I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on these cycles of Saturn and Neptune and Uranus and Pluto, because accounting for retrogrades, there's going to be periods where they're not working together, especially when Saturn goes back into Pisces, right? It's like by that point, when Saturn goes into Pisces in September, we're going to have a very different stage, astrologically speaking, because at that point, Jupiter will be in Cancer. Um, Mars will be either in Virgo or Libra, finally out of Leo and Cancer. Jesus. I mean, that's been going on for almost 9 months, I think, is the completion of that whole phase. Um, but Uranus at that point may even be in Gemini. I gotta double check that. So the foundational astrology stage, so to speak, will be very different when Saturn's in its Pisces retrograde phase. So anyway, I'm gonna be keeping my eyes on that. But that's all I wanted to mention about this cluster here. So as far as like where to look in your houses for where this could be impacting you, there's so much going on here. Honestly, it'd be hard to pick one. It'll be really hard to pick one sign, but I would look at a 20 to 29 degree range. I would prioritize Pisces here just because of everything the North Node is doing and also transitioning from like Pisces to Aries, but Saturn being at that 29-degree point. I would look at Pisces and Aries together as a shared energy with all of this, because again, there's something about that like last degree of the zodiac and the first degree of the zodiac that's very important here. Okay. But also all the fixed signs I feel like are fair game, especially Scorpio, especially Aquarius. I mean, Taurus is just as important. It's like, you see what I'm saying? There's a lot to look at here. But if you want to keep it easy, kinda. Um, oh God, yeah, what fixed sign would I choose? You know, Aquarius has like so much going on because of the other aspects. I would definitely keep my eye on Aquarius. It's so hard for me to say Scorpio or Taurus, but I think I'd pick Aquarius, and then I would look at like that Pisces Aries like meeting point, the last degree and the first degree of the zodiac. Yeah, that's what I would say with that. Okay. Lots of astrology talk today. I'm loving the vibe of today. I kind of want today to just like not end. Can we just like freeze time? Can we? Today feels very good. Feels like feels like a really good like, I don't know how to explain it. It just feels calm. Mm. Let me see here. Catching up on the comments before we get into the readings today. Heavy on the crying and dancing, lol. Today's energy has felt so strange. Lots of intrusive thoughts and anxiety. Today's full moon is exactly square my moon. Oh, and square my sun. Oh, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. All the aqua has the most profound transformation. Yeah, there's so much going on in Aquarius right now. So much going on in Aquarius. Honestly, so good. But after heavy turmoil and crying my eyes out, to be honest. Oh, it'll get lighter. It'll get lighter. What a time to have my first serious boyfriend. Be an Aquarius rising in Scorpio. Oh, I don't know why that made me cough. That's funny. Yeah, what a time. Mm. Oh, wow. Okay. So like I said, we're doing signs today. Actually, yeah, we'll stick with Rider Waite too. Okay. Starting to get like weird cravings. I think it's because I feel very calm and very extra cozy. I'm like, I don't know, I think I should have like popcorn here or something. Like popcorn and like, I don't know, a fun, colorful drink. Mm. Mm. All right. And we got the Clydester here. I don't know if any of you guys were wondering, but he's been chilling here next to me. Oh, who is going first? Ooh. Oh, Air wants to go first. Okay. Speaking of Aquarius, I feel like I'm really picking up on Aqua more than Gemini and Libra. But again, we have a lot of Aqua energy going on collectively. for everybody. I also feel like, hold on. Let me read the timestamp. Getting ahead of myself. It's like already getting channelings. Air signs, you're letting the water in. That's like literally what they're showing me. They're showing me like an empty like canal or like river, and it's like the water's like flooding in. It's actually giving me like the Nile. It's giving me Nile vibes. So you guys could be connected to the Egyptian pantheon to some extent, or just, you resonate with that. But yeah, it feels like the water's like rushing in. It feels positive though. Like it almost has that feeling of like, oh, the water's back. It almost has that feeling of like, oh, the crops have been dry. Yay, the water's back. That's how it's feeling for my air signs. Okay. You guys could have been feeling like you've been in a little bit of a rut or a dry, like a literal dry spell of some kind. Maybe this is also sexual. I'm hearing, yeah, the creative well has run dry, or the well has run dry. This doesn't have to just be about creativity. It could literally be like you feel like a aspect of your life has been stagnant or stale or just dead. But like life is returning, the water is returning is how this is feeling. Oh, by the way, I'm starting with the archetype deck. Anything else for my air signs? For Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Snakes are very big. I'm getting a lot of snake symbology. I keep getting Egypt, like super strong with you. Maybe you want to go to Egypt? Oh, air signs. You have the card of truth. This is just like in your face, unbridled truth. Basically should just be like the Ace of Swords card. Okay. With the water returning, it's also bringing some clarity, obviously. Don't know why I said obviously. The heart. Oh, that's why it's obvious. The truth of what you feel. Okay. The truth of what you feel, the truth of what you desire, the truth of what you want, the truth of you. So again, very, very much that like Palace, Chericlo, Aqua, who you really are, what you're really good at, all these things, right? I want to say it's literally the truth of you has come flooding back in. The awareness of who you really are has come flooding back in. Also, the truth of what your heart's desire actually is has come flooding back in. This is why it's like an of course. when I said the Ace of Swords, because after I said it, I was like, why did I say that? That's not really an of course thing. And I'm like, oh, duh, the heart. All right. Can I get a third card for my air signs for Gemini, Libra, Aquarius? Ooh, the mirror. Why is the mirror here for my air signs? Okay, air signs. So while the water is flooding back, dare I even say the emotions are flooding in. We also have ring on the bottom, cycles. Something about this is not so simple, is what I'm going to say. We've touched on this energy. We know what this energy is about. The mother came out with the mirror. We've had a lot of energy. We've also had some of this energy too going on of like birthing, right? Full moon Scorpio kind of also tends to be part of the jam here. But the mother archetype, we know what mother energy is, right? It's nurturing. It's nurturing, it's care, it's emotional safety. It's also how we gestate. It's also how we bring things to life. That's the mother energy. With the mirror being here, it's like, oh, I'm getting so many things. Fractals. Thank you. So what I'm about to say, take it as it resonates for you because this is a general reading, okay? And some of these things will hit some of you more than others because some of you guys are experiencing this differently. Because on one end, I'm getting like fractals of the feminine, fractals of divine femininity, fractals of goddesses or goddess identities, or like fractals fractured. That's something that's coming through quite a bit here of feminine energy. And it's almost like this is what has been getting brought to wholeness, I want to say. This is almost like some sort of very uncomfortable truth that's had to be acknowledged to let the flooding back in happen. Some of you, this feels like kind of, I'll be honest, almost like putting your own feminine energy back together. Some of you, this is about mending or repairing your own relationship to the feminine or to mother energy. This could even be about relationships like to your mother or as a mother. It doesn't have to be gender specific. It's just an example here. Okay. But yeah, it does. I feel like I'm almost getting like pieces of the mirror have been broken and it's like putting it back together. To see the full picture, to see what you couldn't see before. Yeah, I'm hearing mending and repair, mending and repair, mending and repair. So again, take that as it resonates. Because on the other end of that, I'm also getting like distortions and illusions of, I want to say, just the divine feminine energy and archetype and anything that stems from that, which is like anything in the realm of femininity, motherly, maiden, crone like archetype, right? Anything that is about also the internal, or how we hold ourselves, how we nurture for ourselves, how we care for ourselves, and even others. And also how we create, actually, how we create, how we gestate, how we birth things, how we bring things to life and bring things into our life. The play on words lately have been crazy. So lots of things there. Lots of things there. So take that as you will, okay? Whether it is the distortions, illusions, ego-based trauma, whatever, or literally this like fractured understanding. Some of you, it's also identity in terms of like divine femininity and everything that comes of that or with that, and putting it together, putting it to wholeness, and that lets the waters flow. Thank you. Some of you, this is also going to be a repairing of your sacral, which makes sense, right? Once the sacral has been healed and balanced, brought back into balance, then it is now open for the flooding of the sacral creative waters to flow. This can also be sexually. This can be purely with your creative energy. This can also just be purely emotional, right? Some of you, this is, God, there's so much here. Some of you, this is also going to bring back your ability for fun. And to receive. And your ability to receive. Again, with the ring on the bottom, this is speaking to cycles. Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, that's a lot. Let's move on to Gemini. Let's move on to a sign here. Oh, it's like, actually, you know what? Geminis, the unicorns want to work with you today. I don't know if you've ever gotten the unicorns before. You okay, Bubby? Oh, I know. It's okay. I can tell he's really uncomfortable. Okay. Gemini. Coming in for Gemini. They're showing horses. You could be dealing with a Sag. You could have Sag in your chart. Sorry. It just gave me Saggy vibes. Horses, to me, well, the horse medicine carries a lot of different medicines, but horse medicine to me is like stamina, independence, strength, grace, beauty, majesty, even. I feel like it's about embracing that, actually, Gemini. Embracing that, being open to that, being receptive to that within yourself or even with other people. So, I mean, this is maybe about even accepting other people's, interesting. Accepting your own greatness also allows you to accept other people's greatness as well, right? The more accepting you are of yourself, the easier it is to be accepting of other people. As I'm wearing a hat with a horse on it. Of course. Yeah, it's like it's touching on these themes of like, okay, let me back up. Characteristics, your own and other people's, who have strong streaks, I want to say, of independence. I want to say, and beauty, actually, like beauty and grace. But there's another one here. Ooh, freedom. That to me, that says independence, but they're saying, mine seems like, no, they're different. You're right. They are different. They're different. This, like, yeah, characteristics, your own, and also people that you know or may come into contact with who have very strong streaks of freedom, independence, beauty, and grace, to be accepting of that within yourself and accepting of other people who have that. If you struggle to accept these aspects of yourself, you may have also been very triggered by people who have these same very strong streaks, who've already owned them, right? The mirror. Yeah. So, yeah, they said they got it. Okay. Because the way I phrased it, I was like, are you sure? I was like, hope I said, I hope that landed. Yeah, it's like, okay, I just have to. Sorry, it's bothering me. So just to reiterate, to make it very clear, people who have embodied and accepted those characteristics very well that you do possess, but maybe you haven't accepted, they would be triggering to you or have been triggering to you. This is something you're reflecting on or something that you are coming into completion with, you know? Like you would have less triggering with these people if you accepted these things about yourself. Okay. Any other messages or insights for Gemini? It's interesting too, because like they all feel a little different. Like some of you, it's about independence. Some of you, it's about freedom. They're different. Some of you, it's about beauty. That is like when I first said beauty, I was like, oh, that made me feel things. Beauty and then grace is also different, right? I literally am feeling like 4 different groups right now. It's like, this is the thing about doing readings, because like I honestly, if I let myself, I would read all day. I shouldn't, because it's not good for me to do that, energetically speaking. But like even just doing the 4 groups, I'm like, oh, I want to do a read for all these groups. And it's like, I don't have the bandwidth. Anyway, Gemini. Any messages or insights for Gemini? So 10 of Pentacles. They're in cozy in the castle with the 10 of Pentacles. I feel like this card is coming out to represent the familiarity of the container of your reality, the familiar of what your life is made of right now. You know, what you do for a living, you go to work, how you eat, where you live, who you live with, who's your family, who's your tribe, you know, just literally representing like where you're at in your life right now. This could be highlighting more career for you. I'm also hearing the future. This awareness that you are moving into about this like horse energy, these horse characteristics. You could be dealing with a horse person again, or Saggy comes to mind too. It's bringing a lens to your 10 of Pentacles. It's putting a lens, I want to say a magnifying glass actually, over your life right now to really bring it into focus of where you could benefit from some more acceptance of yourself and acceptance of others in the realm of these characteristics: freedom, independence, beauty, and grace, and how that could actually expand your life even more. Okay. I want to say actually bring more abundance to your life. Remember, the waters are flooding back in. Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, that's beautiful, Gemini. 10 of Pentacles and the 4 of Wands. Some of you will be going through some sort of expansion with your home or even your tribe, or again, even like the entirety of your life. Because it's like, remember, Jupiter's in your sign, right? Doing a lot for you. This is about personal expansion, but it's funny because we're talking about horses, and I forgot I chose the unicorns for you. Look, the two unicorns, horses engaging with each other, accepting each other, accepting each other. Um, Gemini, I can't shake the feeling that this is also about, yes, deepening your self-acceptance, but deepening your acceptance of others too, and inviting them in, actually. Yeah, accepting them and inviting them in to expand your life. Whether that's also your work or your household or even expanding your tribe and your family, but it is about deepening that acceptance. It's interesting because it's highlighting the juxtaposition of Pisces and Gemini to me. Because like with Gemini energy, I'm not saying you guys are not emotional. I'm not saying that. But you're Gemini, you're air. You do tend to be, intellectual, right? You do tend to be like, what are the facts? What are the figures? What's actually happening here? You know what I mean? How does this work? And how, you know what I mean? That's just how Geminis are. Geminis are also very playful and very creative. And that's like a beautiful thing about Gemini. But the Pisces energy, the squaring, it's like Pisces wants you to go deeper. Pisces wants you to go deeper beyond the surface, deeper beyond the facts, right? Because if you deepen your acceptance of self and your acceptance of others, and you also like widen the inner circle, but it's through depth. They're saying it's through depth. It's like the waters. They're being very clear about this. The level of expansion you could have is beyond what you could have without that. It's beyond what you could have even by yourself. Some of you, this is also just about going from being like more solo to, less solo. Anything else for Gemini? I'm super open today, and I'm already realizing I'm spending a lot of time on these readings. So I'm going to try to go a little faster because I don't have a lot of time to spare today. Yeah. Page of Pentacles. Oh, I just love the unicorn deck so much. I love the art. It's all very cutesy. But one second. Mm, excuse me. The Page of Pentacles. Excuse me. Page of Pentacles is allowing yourself to be open to either like cultivating new skills, like learning new skills, like as a student. It's also my friendship card. It's also my card of trust, and examining the material realm, even. But I feel like this is actually opening for more trust, is what this feels like to me being here with you. Um, it almost feels like a new seed, even, right? Because we have like the 10 of Pentacles, and the Page of Pentacles examines the seed and what we can do with this like seed, with this new notion or this new relationship or this new whatever. And what can we do with it? How can we grow? How can we expand? But again, I'm getting it's through trust, friendship, loyalty, but being open to that, being open to new. Ace of Swords on the bottom. Couple more cards for Gemini, and then we got to move on because it's one of those days I can tell where I'm at. I could be here all day. 2 more cards for Gemini, and I still got a couple personal readings I got to do today too. Ooh. Why do I feel like this is just a big card for a mirror? Right? The moon is kind of like that, right? It reflects the light of the sun back to us, right? It is kind of a mirror. So we have the moon here. What's behind the moon for Gemini? What's behind the moon for Gemini? And this also, with this like level of trust, this also is giving me like looking at what you haven't allowed yourself to look at before, looking in the mirror. Looking in the mirror. I'm getting looking in the mirror vibes. Sometimes too, the Page of Pentacles, like I know this is gonna sound strange, but like, tarot's been around for a very long time. And so as time has progressed, like, we find ways to modernize like tarot definitions and what have you. So I know that I've heard this a couple times. I've never actually looked at the literature myself, but I've heard a few people say in like the last few years that Page of Pentacles represents like taking a selfie. I think is like kind of funny, which makes sense. It's like it's like you're examining the pentacle, you're looking at the pentacle, it's looking back at you. But we do have a lot of mirroring going on here. And I do feel like there is a looking in the mirror in terms of your relationship to trust and loyalty and friendship, but also creating roots with that, right? Through the element of pentacle. But this is about looking in the mirror at those qualities. Can I get a final card, please, for Gemini? What's behind the moon for Gemini? Ooh. Okay. I mean, it makes sense. Just was like, oh, harsh. Yeah, Queen of Swords and the Five of Swords. The truth of the Five of Swords is what's hiding, in the mirror. So when you look in the mirror, so to speak, right, Gemini, you're going to be encountered with the Five of Swords energy. And I want to say it's your own Five of Swords energy. And looking in the mirror is also just reflection on how maybe there have been times where you've engaged in this Five of Swords energy in a way that wasn't necessary, or in a way that was like to the detriment of other relationships, or even I'm getting a little bit of self-sabotage. We also have 10 of Wands at the bottom too. But it is that card of ego. It is that card of like black and white. It is the card of like all or nothing. But I am feeling that it's rooted in this like in triggers, right? In triggers of these characteristics of freedom, of independence, of beauty, and of grace. You have all of these characteristics, Gemini. You have all of these characteristics. It's a matter of believing that and accepting that. And the more self-acceptance you can have, the more you can also accept others of where they're at, right? And then you can have this expansion um, of your life, within your life. But that's what I'm getting. It's looking at our own behavior and where that comes from. Yeah, especially with the Queen of Swords, right? Because Queen of Swords, we know the Queen of Swords. She the solo queen. She the divorcee. right? She's the single queen, she's the widower. She or he doesn't matter here, but Queen of Swords doesn't F around. Queen of Swords is very direct and sometimes has been known to be very cutting with their words. And the Five of Swords also indicates that. And you may be aware that like how your words have also impacted people, but again, where that really comes from, and it's around the theme of acceptance, self-acceptance. Okay. Libra, before time gets away from us. Libra. I'm getting really weird food cravings. Now I want sushi. Maybe I'm hungry. Maybe I'm just hungry. That could totally be it. Libra. Oh, you want Midnight Magic. Everyone wants a different deck than they're used to. Okay. Change it around. All right. Libra. Any messages or insights for Libra at this time for Libra's highest good? Any messages or insights for Libra for this week for Libra's highest good? Libra, I think some of you guys are feeling called to travel. They're giving me just travel imagery, like boats, planes, cars. Sorry, there was a joke in my head. Anyway, I feel like some of you guys are getting called to travel. If you're feeling that, I would really act on it, okay? It feels divinely guided to travel. I don't know, I just got like a little wave of anxiety. Some of you guys could just have general travel anxiety as a thing, you know. Some people do. Some people don't really like to travel. It makes some people scared or anxious. Maybe this is for some of you, maybe you know there's something about this trip. This is not for everybody because not all Libras are traveling, right? But for those who feel like a pull to go and travel, it's spirit trying to get you to act. Spirit's trying to get you to go somewhere, and it's for a reason. And I think deep down you know that. But I can feel like you're like nervous or sick about it. It's just something I'm sensing. There was something else that wanted to be said there too. Like a weird relationship with travel. Some of you, this anxiety is because you have a weird relationship with travel. Just wanted to be said. They're bringing up Pisces there. So maybe you have Pisces in your chart, or maybe Saturn's doing something to your chart with travel. Maybe Saturn's doing something weird to your chart with travel. Like Saturn could be in your 9th house, your 11th house, your 3rd house. 4th house actually does speak on travel too a little bit. It actually touches on cars, like vehicles more than anything. That's interesting. It's just something I'm getting. All right, Libra. Any messages or insights for Libra? Any messages or insights for Libra? Whoop. Oh, well, the other thing I just realized, hold on, before I get there. 3 of Wands on the star. That looks beautiful. Again, I feel like you're feeling called to go somewhere. These cards don't necessarily indicate travel. The 3 of Wands does indicate like looking to the future, being open and receptive to the ships coming in, right? But I keep getting travel, but let's come back to this for a second. When Saturn goes into Aries, it is going to start to oppose your sign. Now, obviously, where you have Libra, what degrees you have Libra, that will change how and or when you may experience this opposition with Saturn, right? Whether it's your sun or your Venus, or it's an angle like your ascendant or your midhaven or whatever. It will affect you differently and at different times depending on where Saturn is in its transit of Aries. And not to mention, it's only going to be in Aries for a couple of months for the entirety of summer, and then it will come back next year. But there may be something there for you, like by early degree Libras, I would say, like 0 to 5 degree Libra placements or angles. Pay attention to that. There's something there. Anyway, but the 3 of Wands on the star, I can't shake it. Libra, follow your intuition at this time. Don't ignore it. Don't hit snooze on it. Don't tell yourself, "Oh, I can't do that. Oh, that's not really I don't think I can do that right now. I don't know." Listen to it. Spirit's trying to get you to the star. Star can be a card of healing. It could be a card of wish fulfillment. It's also a card of hope and blessings. I feel high levels of confidence and optimism for some of you, not all of you though. I keep getting this like a little insecure energy is what I'm feeling for you, but it's like I want to say spirit is trying to get you to star. Whether that's through travel or just following your intuition. Because the 3 of Wands, I'm hearing right place, right, yeah, Libra, right place, right time. Because the 3 of Wands, again, it is optimism and it's expectation, right? Things are about to happen for you or things are coming in and you're just kind of like waiting for that to take place, is what the 3 of Wands speaks of. But the 3 of Wands, even they're showing me the visual really, really prominently. He stands on the beach, he stands on the shore and he watches and he waits as his destiny arrives. Almost said arises. Interesting. Maybe you're going through a Phoenix rising. As his destiny arrives. The star, as his destiny arrives. The star is also my North Node card. Right place, right time. Listen to your intuition. Anything else for Libra? Oh, I want to shake you. I want to shake you, Libra. 2 of Swords and the Devil. You got a devil in your ear. Okay. Whether that's your own inner dialogue, your own personal pep, if you will. Okay. Your own inner dialogue, your own negative self-talk. Because I kept like getting that feeling like, oh, I can't do that. I don't know if I could. That's this. Okay. This is indecision, which I know is like your shadow. I get it. Which is funny, devil, right? With the moon and Libra. 2 of Swords is moon Libra energy. This is the epitome of Libra shadow rearing its ugly head. If you get caught up in your head, Libra, in indecision or listening to some sort of like annoying little voice in your head telling you no, telling you can't, or, confusing you, or, even if you have someone around you causing confusion, this feels internal. I don't feel like this is about anyone else but yourself. Just speaking honestly, this can actually cause you to not really hear your intuition. I'm not saying you're going to miss out. That's not what I'm saying here. Because I believe what's meant for us is always going to be meant for us and it'll come to pass. That's what I believe. Just maybe different times in different ways, but what's meant for us is what is meant for us. But this doesn't have to be here. This doesn't have to be here. You got to figure, if you got like a little negative voice in your head, or you've got like feelings of doubt or insecurity, that is a pep talking. That is your inner devil, inner demon talking when you could be at the right place at the right time for something. We also have the moon at the bottom here. Okay. Anything else for Libra? Anything else for Libra for this week? Oh, something about this feels very warm and fuzzy. King of Pentacles and the Lovers. To me, Lovers is a choice of alignment. I love that the Lovers is here because literally, look, we have the Devil and the Lovers. They are 2 sides of the polarity of each other. They are Gemini and Capricorn, but that doesn't really have much to do with the polarity of each other, right? Normally, the illustration is like the devil has the lovers chained up, right? Because devil is the things that like restrict us and sometimes can cloud our own sense of truth and alignment, while lovers is us being in alignment and making choices in that state of freedom and flow and truth and alignment. But as the King of Pentacles, Taurus energy. So Libra, what I'm getting here is like, you got to take control back of your personal power. You are in the driver's seat. You know who you are, you have full autonomy of yourself, and you are perfectly capable. The King of Pentacles manages the 10 of Pentacles. That's like the level of responsibility and maturity and wisdom and capability that the King of Pentacles has. And I feel like Spirit is here to say, like, Libra, no, like, stop getting tangled up in these thoughts, stop getting tangled up in these doubts and these insecurities. Recognize that that's what they are, and get back in your own driver's seat. Get back in your autonomy, get back in your power, get back in what you are capable of doing and the decisions you are capable of making for yourself. Because again, Spirit is trying to get you in the right place at the right time here. Some of you, this is also, I'm getting a little bit of like dream chasing, a little bit, not in a bad way, not in an illusionary way. Hold on a second. Clyde, Thank you. Libra, some of you do have some hopes and some dreams here that you do want for yourself. And I feel like this is just a reminder from spirit to say, like, you can have those things. You just have to remember who you are and what you're capable of. And don't forget it. And don't forget it. Can I get a card on the Two of Swords and the Devil? What is this? What is this? What is this? What is this Two of Swords and Devil? Can you tell me more about this for Libra? I just don't like that that's here for you. Interesting. We have the King of Wands. I still feel like this is about you more than anything. Could this be influenced by judgment? Could this be influenced by another person? Sure. But it's almost like that King of Wands energy. King of Wands, especially the shadow of it, is like vanity and control and accolades and self-serving energy. I just keep getting this is just a lot of shadow, Libra. And ego. I do want to say ego. There's also something where I feel like some of your creative energy is like kind of trapped a little bit by the devil. Your confidence, thank you. Your confidence is like suffocated by the devil here. Some of you may have someone in your life or have had someone in your life that fits the shadowy King of Wands energy that I talked about, like controlling, vain, etc. And I think, yeah, some of you, it's like this person's in your head. Some of you have known someone who's like shadowy King of Wands or shadowy Leo energy. Male or female, doesn't matter. I want to say they have a lot of masculine energy. This could be someone you don't even engage with anymore. Some of this could be somebody presently, but again, Libra, this is about you having control over your own thoughts and your mind here, mastery of your mind. I just feel like people who fit this bill have kind of gotten in your head a little bit, is what I'm getting here. I'm getting so much doubt. And it's like, I feel like these people who kind of are like this, they have made you doubt yourself in some way or second guess yourself in some way. Hey, buddy. But that's what I'm getting, Libra. Let's move on to Aquarius. Ooh. Oh, might need more water in a second, actually. Bubby, what's going on? What? I don't know what he wants yet. Okay. Aquarius, sorry, let me give you a new timestamp here. All right. What's going on for Aquarius? He's so cute. Yeah, I'm talking about you. What do you need, Clyde? Do you need something? Huh? He wants something. I can feel it. Aquarius. Any messages or insights for Aquarius, please? For this week, for Aqua's highest good. I'm hearing come back. We have Four of Swords here. So Four of Swords is pretty indicative of taking some time out, resting, rejuvenating, sleeping, napping, healing, taking time for yourself. I really feel like that's a recharge energy, but I'm hearing come back. In taking the space, Aqua, there could be some people that are like, Aqua, where you be? You know? Aquarius. What else is coming through for Aquarius? Yeah, I'm getting this feeling of like, come back, come back, come back, come out of the shadows. Maybe you retreated to the shadows. That's very scorpionic of you, Aquarius. Maybe that's what you're doing for the full moon. Maybe on the full moon, you're like, I need this. I need this. I need to disappear into the shadows for a little bit. Oh, look at Tower at the bottom. I feel like people want you to come back or to come out, to come back into the light, wondering what's going on with you. Anything else for Aquarius? Ooh, Aqua. Nine of Wands. I feel like you're healing. It's like, I do feel like resting, yes, but like, There's something that feels psychological here, which again is also very full moon Scorpio. Some of y'all just need a break. I feel like with that 9 of Wands, it's like you've been very tired, you've been very fatigued. I want to say you've been fighting something, maybe even fighting for something, and you're just tired. You got a strong wall up, Aqua, a very strong wall. But you feel it's necessary. I'm not going to say it's not. You feel like it's necessary, and that's valid enough. Anything else for Aquarius? Yeah, you need this time. Hold on. Buddy, what? Come here. You know I'm working. Okay. 4 of Swords, 9 of Wands, Death, and the Hanged Man. You're on timeout. You are on major timeout, Aqua. And with the Death card, it's just screaming not just this woman Scorpio, but it's also screaming Pluto in your sign, which has also been retrograding in your sign as of late, right? And even with like the comeback, I feel like you are actually retrieving something. I feel like some of you may be going through a bit of a soul retrieval. Some of you may be also just like, retrieving your own energy back to yourself, like reclaiming your energy. Some of you are reclaiming energy from other people. Some of you are just recharging. Some of you are soul retrieving, but you're coming back to yourself. That's what I'm feeling here. And that does come with physical recovery, mental recovery, and spiritual recovery. But that's what you're doing. You're prioritizing you, and it seems very necessary. Some of you, this was involuntary. Like you got put on timeout to do this. Some of you are going to go ghost if you haven't already. Can I get another card for Aquarius, please? Interesting. So on Death, we have the Knight of Pentacles. It feels like the Knight of Pentacles energy. Wait, is this resurging or is this just transforming? Evolving. Okay. It's funny because like I've noticed I've been feeling inclined to say the word evolution or evolving a lot more than transforming recently. And they are different, right? Because transformation is like changing one thing to another, one form to another. But evolution implies an elevation of the transformation. It's a transformative elevation. So it's just wanting to be spoken on here. And I feel like that's what's happening here with your Knight of Pentacles energy. Knight of Pentacles is about devotion. It's about consistency, predictability. Knight of Pentacles is the gatekeeper, the right-hand man, the one who will always show up, even if it's the candle just went out. I feel like that's how tired you are. Like, I'm done, I'm out. How consistent you are in everything that you're doing, right? How devoted and loyal you are to everything that you're doing. This is evolving for you. This aspect of you is evolving. I do feel like this is also going to coincide, or probably already has happened, where some of your obligations have also shifted or have even become null and void. They're showing me contracts. What's coming after the Hanged Man for Aquarius? Seven of Cups and the King of Wands. This is after the Hanged Man. This is when you're ready to emerge. Why is the Seven of Cups here with the King of Wands? It's giving me that whole Aries. Oh, it's giving me the whole Aries stellium. The Seven of Cups sometimes can be illusions, right? I feel like you have been sorting through your illusions in this downtime, in this coming back to self. You definitely are sorting through illusions. That is for sure. Pursuits of the ego is also coming up here. Please don't be triggered by that. It's just human nature. We all have stuff like that. Right? Pursuits of the ego versus pursuits of the soul. That's coming up to be sorted as well. But I also feel like imagination is coming through here with the King of Wands when you're ready to emerge, when you're ready to kind of play in all that fire, when you're ready to create and invent with all that fire. Tell me more about the Nine of Wands and the Four of Swords for Aquarius, and then we're going to move on because this feels pretty clear and cut. Okay. Ooh. Judgment. King of Swords, there's your court card, Aqua. King of Cups, that's a Scorpio energy, the full moon Scorpio. Also, Judgment's very Scorpio. It's Pluto and fire. But then we have Strength with Leo. I just feel like you're just putting yourself back together is what this feels like. And it's like, again, by also sorting through the crap, the illusions, the stuff that really doesn't belong to you. But I also feel like you're calling your energy back to yourself, like reclaiming yourself from other people in certain situations. Hold on. Quiet. Thank you. But coming back, Judgment. I also feel like there's a nice alignment happening here with you of your mind and your heart. Okay. Which is beautiful. That's a beautiful alignment to have. The heart mind connection happening here. Like, right? So it's like the way that you navigate this world, it's like you're rooted in both. You have a foot in both. This may even be calling into question like where that connection has been in recent past, as far as like has that been in alignment or has that actually not been intact at all? Have you been operating more in this in the ego space, or in the mental space versus the emotional space? Strength being here also feels like just again recalling on your reserves and your own energy to do this for yourself. Okay. Oh, thank you. And to give you the courage to go for what you want, what you actually want, not what your ego wants, what your soul wants. There's something about image there too, Aqua. Not all of you, but like reputation and image is there too. They might have been driving some of your decisions. Okay. Moving on. Fire, earth, or water. This is gonna be a long video. Shit, we're almost 2 hours. We have 3 more elements to do. It's one of those days. I know some of y'all don't mind. It's fun for me. But anyway. Fire, earth, or water. We'll go with earth. Let's do earth. Okay. Aquarius. I just saw man's I can't say your name. I'm sorry. Just saw your comment, so I was about to say Aquarius. I'm like, no, we're focusing on earth signs. Earth signs. Earth signs. Getting into earth. Everyone's feeling a little watery. I like it. Earth signs. What's going on for my earth signs? Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Buddy, what are you doing? No. He's looking for trouble. Hold on a second. Buddy. Okay. All right. I need to entertain him for a second because he's persistent and he won't stop. But I promise I will be right back and I'm going to change the timestamp accordingly. All right. So give me like 2 minutes. Bear back. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, Earth signs. Let's come back. I will do a second timestamp here. Okay. I'm home with my perfect kitty babies now. Oh, nice. All right. So, Earth signs. The first card out is Siren. I feel like you're intrigued